The atmosphere in the room was thick with unspoken tension. As the two figures stood in a silent standoff, suddenly, the silence was shattered by a sharp, accusatory tone that demanded immediate attention. The young man's eyes widened in disbelief, his heart racing as he felt the weight of a direct insult. Desperate to de-escalate, he quickly tried to deny any ill intent. But the damage was already done. But the blonde man wasn't having it. His anger flared, fueled by a perceived lack of respect for his status. The accusation hung heavy in the air, turning a simple conversation into a high-stakes confrontation, trying to steer the conversation away from the conflict. He attempted to clarify the reality of the situation. He spoke of the truth, of the events unfolding that no one could simply ignore. Addressing him by his title, the gravity of the situation became impossible to deny. The mention of the border territory brought a chilling realization to the forefront of their minds. As the truth about the Empire's edge begins to surface, one thing is certain: nothing will ever be the same. A heavy sigh escapes as the tension in the room becomes palpable. It seems the rules of the Academy are becoming increasingly difficult to navigate. The boundaries are blurring, and the presence of outsiders within noble families is starting to cause serious friction. Fury boils over as a noble's pride is pushed to the limit. The disrespect is simply too much to bear. With a sudden burst of magic, a threat is issued. The noble vows to make anyone who insults their status pay dearly for their insolence. But amidst the chaos, a calm, unbothered gaze meets the aggression. No fear, just a chilling silence. A daring challenge is thrown back. "Try it then," comes the response, turning the tables on the aggressor. The noble is left speechless, stunned by the sheer audacity of this unexpected defiance. A final warning is issued, setting the stage for a confrontation that could change everything. If they attack here, there will be no turning back. A sharp warning cuts through the air as a confrontation begins. The man with glasses stares coldly, reminding his companion that status alone won't shield them from the consequences of their actions. He questions if the notice regarding enrollment was even received, his eyes narrowing with suspicion. A command follows: "Look around." The reality of the situation is staring them right in the face. The realization hits like a physical blow, leaving the young noble breathless and reeling from the truth. The tension escalates as a final, desperate warning is issued: "Just wait and see." After the storm of conflict, a heavy silence settles over the pair as they catch their breath. In the aftermath, a brief moment of introduction occurs, attempting to bridge the gap between strangers. But beneath the surface, the truth remains: there is no gratitude here, only a deep-seated disgust for the arrogance of the nobility. The atmosphere seemed light for a moment, with a friendly compliment being tossed around, like there was no consequence. But the warmth vanished instantly when the response came back cold and indifferent. The conversation was already over. An attempt to bridge the gap was made, suggesting they head out together. But the tension was far from resolved. A sharp question was thrown out, questioning if the other even knew their destination, setting a heavy tone for the encounter. The revelation that their paths were crossing at the upcoming academy class added a layer of unavoidable friction. Then, the insults began. A direct attack on someone's background and their lack of magical prowess, leaving no room for doubt about the growing animosity. As the truth about the Academy's hierarchy began to unfold, it became clear that knowing the players in this game is the only way to survive. The whispers in the hallway were getting harder to ignore, A certain student's disruptive behavior during class had everyone on edge. Rumors were swirling that even the previous instructor's departure was linked to her chaotic influence. But the real shocker, the next name on the list, carried the most precious bloodline of the entire empire. The third princess herself was part of this very same class, a presence that commanded absolute attention. The students feared that commoners, associating with someone of her status, could lead to nothing but disaster. And then, the final piece of the puzzle fell into place, revealing the identity of the one lending support to the nobles. Freudenwalberg, a name from a great duke's family. If commoners were truly being targeted, the stakes for this academy just reached a breaking point. Reflecting on the recent chaos, it becomes clear that the recent incident was no accident. It was a calculated move by that specific group of elites. A sudden realization hits him. Could he have already crossed a line and made powerful enemies? But there's no use dwelling on the past. There's nothing left to be done about the consequences. As they walk, the line between courage and pure foolishness begins to blur. One student tries to lighten the mood, casually suggesting a lunch date, as if nothing is wrong. But the response is immediate and filled with pure disbelief. The tension is palpable as the weight of their hidden identities hangs in the air. A moment of silence falls over the academy grounds, leaving only uncertainty. Watching from the shadows, he realizes the reactions are far more intense than he ever anticipated. This was not part of the plan. Imagine a world mirroring the 19th century, but with a massive twist. Magic is a real, tangible force. Yet, despite this magical presence, scientific advancement has stalled, leaving many areas stuck in a primitive state. But a breakthrough is coming. A new form of power is being forged by merging the laws of science with the essence of magic. The creator of this new source code is stunned. The reaction to this revolutionary concept is far better than anyone anticipated. He remembers his mentor's first reaction. Back then, the skepticism was palpable. The old man's lukewarm response left him expecting very little validation. While this new method allows for magical integration, it's strictly limited to rank 3 and is incredibly complex to execute. But he knows he can't just teach this one thing. To maintain his cover and avoid being exposed as a fraud, he must prepare a much deeper curriculum. As he steps into the room, a sudden realization hits him. Is this his very own private office? The atmosphere in the grand hall was deceptively peaceful. A quiet moment before the storm. With a graceful smile, the silver-haired woman greeted the newcomer, making him feel right at home. The man stood there, his expression unreadable as he took in the luxurious surroundings. The academy offered its professors a sanctuary, a private space far from the eyes of the world. But beneath the polite words, a flicker of doubt crossed his mind. Why was he being watched so closely? He tried to probe for information, questioning the true reason behind this sudden hospitality. The question hung heavy in the air, a direct challenge to the illusion of privacy. She brushed off his concern with a chillingly polite explanation, masking her true intentions. As the chancellor, her duty was to watch over him. But was this protection, or was it a gilded cage? One sharp gaze was all it took to realize that his undercover mission just became much more dangerous. A moment of quiet reflection, but beneath the surface, a deep sense of unease is brewing. Every time their eyes meet, a physical sensation of dread washes over him, making him feel exposed. He questions her lack of reaction, wondering why she remains so unnervingly calm. But her response is chilling. She claims she's already seen enough shock to last a lifetime. To him, this encounter feels more terrifying than facing a ghost in the dead of night. He searches for answers, wondering why she was lurking in his office. The moment he arrived, she casually reveals that the other faculty members have already been through this same shock. Then comes the revelation that sends a chill down his spine. He is the final stop on her list. Panic begins to set in. He can't help but wonder why he's the last one left. The realization hits him like a physical blow. She is starting to see through his disguise. No matter how deep his cover is, the Chancellor's watchful eye is always one step ahead. Is his secret finally about to be exposed? A sudden wave of dread washes over him. A single thought haunts his mind. Is she starting to suspect his true identity? It feels incredibly unfair. Despite being an executive of a secret association, he's trapped by rules that don't even apply to him. The conversation shifts as she mentions the new students he's accepted into his lecture, catching him off guard. He tries to maintain his composure, but the sudden change in the classroom's dynamic is impossible to ignore. She reveals that this year's first-year students are truly exceptional, possessing unique and powerful magic. But then, the bombshell drops. The princess herself is in his class, and the stakes just skyrocketed. With high expectations placed on his shoulders, he must now protect the royal bloodline while keeping his own secrets hidden. Can he survive this mission? The tension begins to fade as the first lesson concludes successfully. The feedback from the students was surprisingly positive, easing the weight on the professor's shoulders. A kind gesture follows, as an offer of tea is made to help unwind after the intense session. With a polite nod, the professor accepts the kindness, but knows there is no time to linger. Duty calls. There is still much work to be done, and the undercover mission demands constant vigilance. Words of encouragement are exchanged, hoping this streak of success continues throughout the academy. But as the door begins to close, a sudden inquiry pierces through the quiet moment, shifting the atmosphere instantly. A question is posed about a certain individual, one whose presence is hard to ignore. The inquiry turns toward the character's true nature, questioning if rudeness is a sign of something more sinister. Can someone so abrasive truly be trusted? The stakes of this undercover life are becoming dangerously clear as the shadows of doubt grow. The professor must navigate a web of deception where one wrong move could expose everything.